Toastmasters. We are a new club. We just got chartered a month back, a little more than a month back on 9th of June, 2023. We appreciate all the guests who have joined us today, all the visiting Toastmasters and the members of the Gabbys Toastmasters Club and the Gabbys Online Toastmasters Club. Before I start the meeting, here are a few ground rules for us to be aware of. Since this is an online meeting, we would expect everyone to maintain online meeting etiquettes, which includes being on mute when you're not speaking, being on camera if your bandwidth permits. This meeting is for 2 hours, and we would expect you to stay with us for the entire 2 hours. When a speech is in progress and your camera is on, we would request you not to move around so as not to distract the speakers. Though Toastmasters does not have any restrictions on talking about topics like sex, religion, and politics, we as a club practice diversity and inclusion in letter and in spirit. So in case you're talking about anything that's related to sex, religion, and politics, we would urge you to be mindful of the sensibilities and the sensitivities that the audience of a varied nature that we have today from different countries and different geographies may have. So if you're talking anything around sex, religion, and politics, please be sensitive and mindful of the choice of words and the tone of your messaging. The chat will be open, and we would expect everyone to maintain the professional etiquette as far as using the chat facility is concerned. The same applies for reaction buttons. Toastmasters as an organization believes in uplifting and encouraging speakers, so any constructive feedback is appreciated. But any actions which is detrimental to the speaker's confidence or self-respect would be viewed otherwise, and we may have to remove that particular participant from the meeting. With this, I would now want to invite the presiding officer of today's meeting. The presiding officer for today's meeting is Toastmaster Karthik Venugopal. Toastmaster Karthik Venugopal is the VP Education of the Gabbys Online Toastmasters Club. He is also an officer with Toastmasters Indiranagar Pride in Area B4, District 92. Toastmaster Karthik Venugopal is a full stack developer in his professional life and is an absolute epitome of enthusiasm, exuberance, and excitement. Over to Toastmaster Karthik Venugopal, the presiding officer of the meeting number 7, the Gabbys Online Toastmasters Club. Over to you, Toastmaster Karthik.
Thank you for such a warm welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. That was our distinguished Toastmaster Saurabh Datta, the Sergeant at Arms for today's meeting. Give a big round of applause to him. A very good evening to all of you. It's my pleasure to be presiding over the 7th meeting of the Gabbys Online Toastmasters Club. I would like to welcome and acknowledge the presence of all guests to our meeting. Dear guests and fellow Toastmasters, we appreciate you joining us, but due to paucity of time, we don't have an opportunity to have each one of you to introduce yourself. So we'd like to have a quick introductions of you who are on camera. So I'd like to ask Toastmaster Srijita to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for picking me to go under the hammer first. I really appreciate that. And I'm really glad to be with all of you in this meeting today. I am a student of psychology, an undergraduate, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you for that very short and crisp introduction. Thank you, Toastmaster Srijita. So we also would like to know more of our guests who are attending our meeting today. So I would urge you to use the chat function to share a brief intro of yours. We will ask you to share your feedback at the end of the meeting. And please join the Gabbys guest WhatsApp group by scanning the QR code, which will be shared in the chat shortly. For the benefit of guests, I would like to reiterate that the Toastmasters is a home to people who wish to face their fear of public speaking, that is glossophobia. Not only that, if you love to connect and network with others, if you want to hone your leadership skills, Toastmasters is the right place for you. It's a safe place to learn, unlearn, and relearn. We are proud to carry forward this 100 years old legacy, which is spanned over 100 plus countries. So before moving ahead to our meeting, our Gabbys family has grown to 74 members. And since from the last week, Saturday meeting and today's meeting, we have a number of new members in our Gabbys family who are part of Gabbys family now. And I would like to welcome those new members of Gabbys family. So I'll read out their names. So give a big round of applause to each and every Gabbys family who just joined us. Toastmaster Meeta M. Shah. Give a big round of applause to her. Toastmaster Mitesh Rajendra Popat. Toastmaster Chetna B. Toastmaster Tarun Agarwal. Toastmaster Bindu Joseph. Toastmaster Monica Ashwini. Thank you for joining Gabbys. Thank you for choosing Gabbys. I hope you will have a great learning experience with the Gabbys, and also we all have the great experience sharing together. Thank you so much. Now moving ahead with our meeting, we have a wonderful theme today, that is leadership through mythology. And to introduce that theme, we have an energetic Toastmaster, that is Joan Joseph. But before that, I would like to introduce the Toastmaster of the day, that is Joan Joseph, who is a content writer, a passionate reader, is an introvert who finds joy in conversation. She immerses herself in diverse music genres and languages, while her free evenings are spent treasure hunting in vintage book and stationary stories. She hails from Mumbai. She also cherishes the sunrises and sunset at Marine Drive. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Joan Joseph.
Thank you, Presiding Officer Karthik. Am I audible and visible to everyone? I know I'm largely visible thanks to my large face, but am I audible? Thank you, Karthik. Now, while the Presiding Officer gives me the sharing rights, let me start by asking everyone this one question. How are you guys this evening? It's raining here in Mumbai. I don't know what's happening in Bangalore. I don't know what's happening in other parts of the country and maybe abroad from where you guys have joined us. We have literally 28 fabulous Toastmasters and guests with us today. How are you guys feeling? Like, you can show me a thumbs up, a smiley face. A thumbs down is also fine if you guys are not feeling that great. Oh, lovely. Now I see a lot of reactions. Thank you so much. These reactions make me feel like I'm not talking to a black mirror. You know, I'm not talking to my laptop, but actually live people. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for this wonderful meeting of Gabbys Online Toastmasters Club. You must have seen the background, right? Like, what a wonderful background our VPPR has created. Brings in a lot of curiosity. Leadership through mythology, right? But let me ask you this question first. What is mythology? This is something that everyone has heard, I'm sure. If you have not heard, that's fine. You'll learn something about it today. But what is mythology? Can somebody, like, you know, use the raise your hand option and just show of hand? Oh, I have 28 people and nobody knows what is mythology. Like, I know Nagesh sir, Srijita, Karthik, nobody knows what is mythology. Oh God, I feel like now I'm going to be
yeah, I think it's about historical characters.
Historical characters.
Yeah, I mean stories about historical characters.
Okay, that's an interesting,
like
that's
gods,
an interesting.
Yeah, or gods or goddesses.
Gods and goddesses. That's a very interesting take. Stories about historical characters and gods and goddesses. Okay. Anything else? So basically you're saying history, gods, goddesses, that's where mythology comes. Anything else that comes to your mind?
So
Nothing?
mythology basically is a combination of two words. One is mythos, which means stories.
Yeah.
And the one is logos, which is a speech or an expression. So
Wow.
it's basically a story of, a story that is expressed through some kind of an expression.
Wow, you just took away my whole presentation out of my hand, DTM Saurabh. But that is what it is. Mythologies, many a times we have this, misconception that mythology is about god and goddesses, or it is only about history. But mythology simply means mythos plus logos, which is stories, which have been given to us through our history, ancient history, through speech, and then written down maybe. So, any sacred tale, fable related to your geography, your culture, your values, even the names of animals, the names of the elements of the planet, the names of elements of earth, like fire, water, you have the fire god, the sun god, Apollo, this, that, all of these came through these stories, and these stories together are mythology. But one unique factor of mythology is what, mythology always deals with some human condition. Either it's a story about good or evil, it's a story on suffering, it's a story on life or death, something related. But this is what mythology is all about. And today, what we are going to focus on, simply learning some parts of leadership through mythology. But before I go deep into this concept of leadership through mythology, I have to talk about what a Toastmasters meeting is. For the benefit of the guests, let me reiterate. A Toastmasters meeting usually is not about mythology. It is always in 3 parts, 3 sections. The section 1 has prepared speeches where speakers come up prepared with speeches from their projects of paths that they have chosen, and they deliver it. And section 2 is something called as table topics. Now, this is a very interesting session that happens in Toastmasters, and I'm sure guests especially like table topics because this is a session where guests can also participate. And session 3 is the most important session I feel in Toastmasters. That is the evaluation of feedback. Feedback for the speakers, feedback for the table topic master, as well as every single role player who has taken part in this meeting. So without further ado, let me first call upon the person who's going to run the show. No, it's not me. It's the general evaluator. In Toastmasters, we have somebody called the general evaluator. And tonight, the general evaluator for this meeting is Rupa Vidya. Now, Rupa Vidya is a software engineer at Microsoft. She's passionate about public speaking and leadership and has been a part of Toastmasters since 2018. So she's a veteran there. She has contested and won in various contests at the area, division, as well as district level. Currently, she is serving as the area director of Area G4 in District 92. And apart from work, she enjoys volunteering and meeting new people. I would like to call upon Rupa Vidya on the virtual stage so that she can talk about her role as a general evaluator.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Joanne. I will be taking up the role of general evaluator for today's meeting. And the role of the general evaluator is to evaluate the general proceedings of the meeting, make note of everything that goes really well and everything that can do with a little bit of improvement. And I'll be presenting my report at the end of the meeting. While this is a Herculean task, to help me with this job, I have with me the Tag L team, the timer, our counter, grammarian, and listening master for today's meeting. I will be calling them up on the virtual stage one by one to walk through the guidelines for their roles respectively. First up, we have the timer, Toastmaster Sudharma Pereira. To tell you a little bit about Toastmaster Sudharma before I call her on stage, Sudharma stays in Vennapua, Sri Lanka, and is a fellow chartered accountant. She has an MBA from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Sri Lanka, and she's interested in learning new things, getting to know new people, and traveling to new places. Over to the timer, Toastmaster Sudharma.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. As timer, I will time the table topic speakers, formal speeches, and evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using green card, yellow card, and red card, which denotes time remaining. For table topic speakers, time should be limited to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I will show green card. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will show yellow card. And 2 minutes, I will show red card. For prepared speeches, time should be limited to 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I will show green card. At 6 minutes, I will show yellow card. At 7 minutes, I will show red card. For evaluations, time should be limited to 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I will show green card. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will show yellow card. At 3 minutes, I will show red card. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thanks a lot, Madam Timer. The next role taker who's going to come on the virtual stage to introduce themselves is the R counter, distinguished Toastmaster Nancy Goel. To tell you a little bit more
Rupa.
about distinguished. Yes.
Excuse me, Rupa. Toastmaster Rupa. So our counter has dropped due to some reasons. So I'll be the counter, Karthik Venugopal. You can
Okay.
give me the stage.
To tell you a little bit about Toastmaster Karthik, he's the Vice President Education at Gabbys Online Toastmasters Club, and he is also a very diligent Vice President Education. I decided to take up this role a couple of days ago, and he's been pinging me around like 10 times since then, making sure that I have every little meeting detail that can be made available to me. And I'm really looking forward to the attention to detail he's going to bring in for the accounters role. Over to Toastmaster Karthik.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rupa, for that introduction. So I'm the R counter for today, and the purpose of the R counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I'll listen over for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler words, including and er. I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase such as I, or this means. At the end of meeting, I'll report the number of times each speaker used these expressions with the report when called upon by our general evaluator. Over to you, general evaluator Rupa, or Toastmaster Rupa.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Karthik. Third, we have our grammarian, Toastmaster Rohita Balagopal. Toastmaster Rohita has a vast experience in various fields. She started off her career as a cabin crew, working with two of the biggest airline company in the world, Jet Airways and then Qatar Airways. Post that, she worked with KA Skin Clinic in Muscat for more than a decade. Currently, Rohita is the engagement lead for Image Consulting Business Institute for Bangalore. And here's the most exciting trivia about Rohita. She has been one of the most sought after grammarians of the Gabbys Toastmasters Club. I'm looking forward to hear her grammarian's introduction. Over to Toastmaster Rohita.
Thank you very much, G. Rupa. Are you able to hear me? Yes. So as the grammarian today, I'll be paying close attention to the use of any enriched words that are used, rhetorical devices, quotes, and the figures of speech. But I will also be paying close attention to any incorrect words or improvisations, recommendations that I may observe during the meeting. And also as a grammarian, I would like to introduce the word of the day. So I encourage everyone, the guests, the members at the Gabbys, to use the word of the day, which is unravel. The meaning of the word unravel is to investigate, to solve, or to explain. To solve something complicated. So you can use it in a sentence. They were attempting to unravel the cause of the death. So the word of the day will be posted on the chat, and I encourage all to use the word of the day, unravel. Thank you very much. Hand over back to you, G.
Thanks a lot, grammarian Toastmaster Rohita, and please encourage the use of the word of the day with a nice thumbs up, either on the screen or using your emojis. And last but not the least, to make sure that we all don't sleep during the meeting, we have our listener, Toastmaster Bimpi Kumari. Bimpi is based out of Bangalore and works in an IT firm. Her hobbies are cooking, traveling, watching movies, and Bimpi says she joins the Gabbys to improve and become the best version of herself and be more expressive professionally. Over to Toastmaster Bimpi for her role's introduction.
Yeah, thank you, Toastmaster Rupa. So being as a listener, so end of the speech, I will be asking 3 to 5 questions out of today's meeting to check listening skills of us. Over to you, Toastmaster Rupa.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Bimpi. Now that you all know what my TAGL team is going to help me with and what to look forward in the grammarian's report, I'm going to let the suspense brew for some more time before I come back on stage to present my report. Until then, back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, General Evaluator Rupa. You're going to let the suspense brew, and we are going to unravel this suspense like an onion peel, you know, speech by speech and table topic by table topic. Now, we are talking about leadership and mythology, but tonight I witnessed a very good symbol or a very good sign of leadership from Karthik himself. When the R counter dropped off, he said, you know what, let me be the R counter. Usually I'm scared of taking last moment roles because I'm not prepared for that. And I'm always scared, how will people judge me, right? Like I'm not prepared for it. But Karthik, kudos to you. You have right now shown a very good example of leadership. by taking up the role of our counter at the last moment. Thank you so much for that. Without further ado, let's go to the prepared speeches first, because leadership will keep on talking about it. Now, in prepared speeches, we have 3 speakers today, 3 fantastic speakers. And our first speaker for the day is Toastmaster Pranav. And before I call him on the stage, I would like to call his evaluator, who is Toastmaster Priyanka Ranore, to give the details of his speech and his project. Priyanka Ranore is an R&D engineer at Nokia, a fitness enthusiast who enjoys traveling to places that holds significant history. Wow, Priyanka, I believe you'll enjoy today's mythology session because you love history. I do too. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of today. A very good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. The target speakers, the project purpose is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and present a well-organized speech on any topic. Timer, please note, the speech length is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you, Priyanka. And Priyanka today is going to evaluate our first speaker for the day, Toastmaster Pranav Potan. Now, Pranav is working as an analyst in fintech company in Bangalore, and he's looking for opportunities to speak and take roles and develop public speaking and leadership skill through Toastmasters. Can I have Pranav? Yeah, Pranav is already on the virtual stage. Hi, Pranav. Ready?
Hi, Joan. Yes, I'm ready.
Yes. And with that ready, I did a audio visual check with you. Is the timer visible? Can the Zoom master
spotlighting the timer?
Spotlight the timer. It's very important for the speaker. Thank you so much. Our Zoom master is on fire, spotlighting on time. Thank you so much, Zoom master. Pranav, you can see the timer?
Yes, I can see the timer.
Thank you. Toastmaster Pranav. That aha moment, Toastmaster Pranav.
How many of you here have heard or watched the movie Kantara? A quick raise of hands. Nobody? Now let me explain. Yeah, I can see some of them raise the hand. Rupa, Toastmaster Smriti. Now for those who don't know, this movie is about the rituals associated with a demigod called Bhutakola, which is found in the southern part of Karnataka. Now, why am I saying this to you? I am not from Karnataka, but I can tell you that some of the sweetest memories in my childhood is associated with this kind of demigod, which is called Theiya, which is actually found in northern part of Kerala, also little different from Bhutakola. Now, every day I work for 10 to 12 hours in Bangalore. Imagine how much monotonous life would be. It is only during the weekend that I get to visit my family. The 2 days during the weekend, I prefer to spend time with my family rather than my friends or any other relatives. Now, because of that, they always complain, Pranav, we never get to see you anytime, anywhere during the weekend. Why don't you see us during some time? But every April, every year April, the time comes when I am really excited because it is the summer vacation and the time of the festival called Theiya, which I told earlier, similar to Bhutakola. Because during that time, I can see all my friends and relatives and I am really excited about that. Now, let me give some briefing about this festival. This festival is very special. You know why? Because it happens during the night time. Every year during the April, all the cousins, including me, gather at my mom's home, and we are really excited about that. We have fun throughout the day, lot of enjoyment till 8 p.m. because the festival starts at 10 p.m. So at around 8 p.m., we have the dinner and then we get really ready for the festival. At around 10 p.m., all of us gather together, and then we walk through the streets holding our hands. The street will be fully crowded, but when we see that crowd, we are full of excitement, because among those crowd, we find all our relatives, my long lost friends, who I see only during that part of the year. Now we will go and stand in the queue where the deity is there. We start chit-chatting throughout that time, and after 2 hours, we get an opportunity to pray to the deity, who we can only pray once in a year. But that is not the catch. The aha moment arrives after that, when we witness the performance of the god. That moment, our mind is full of devotion. We just forget the moment. The only thing that comes to our mind is the mesmerizing performance of the demigod when they start running towards us. This would go on for about 5 to 6 hours. But after 5 to 6 hours, we never feel tired. The only emotion that comes to our mind is full energy, because we actually feel a lot of energy inside us, even though it is morning 3 a.m. After the performance is over, all of us go and walk towards our home. We meet our relatives and friends, and we spend time chit-chatting with them. Now, by the time we reach home, it would be almost 6 a.m. in the morning. But our mind is filled with energy. We are never bothered about sleeping. After chatting for some time with all my cousins, we start sleeping at around 7 a.m. and wake up at around 12 p.m. in the noon. We have fun throughout the day till around evening, and after that we disperse off. Now, why did I speak about this festival? All of you must be wondering. This festival is not just about the rituals. It is about meeting a lot of friends and evoking those nostalgic moments which we have in our childhood. When we see all the people there are a lot of people from different castes, be it high or low, and we just intermingle with them as if they are just equal to us. The energy which I gain from celebrating this festival, it keeps me invigorated throughout the next 1 year. Would you believe me if I say that? Toastmasters, in the hustle and bustle of city life, especially in Bangalore, we don't get an opportunity to celebrate these festivals. But let me tell you, these festivals only come once or twice in a year, but they actually leave a lifetime of memory for us to cherish, at least for a few lifetimes or for a longer lifetime. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pranav. A virtual thank you. Virtual round of applause is always appreciated for our speaker who has given such a wonderful speech. Pranav, you helped me unravel some of my childhood memories tonight by talking about this festival. I'm also from Kerala, so I have an idea of what you're talking about, and my memories have been unraveled right now. Going for the second speaker today, we have a very enthusiastic and very lovely Toastmaster Yajna as speaker too. But before I call her on stage, I would like to invite her evaluator, Toastmaster Shilpa Reddy, on the virtual stage. Shilpa is an image consultant and a corporate coach who's currently on a sabbatical. And she's an ex-corporate and entrepreneur by heart. She likes traveling. She's a music lover. She has a pet named Rowdy and is a mother to a beautiful baby girl, Thadri. I would like to invite Toastmaster Shilpa, our evaluator, to give the details of the project for Speaker to Yajna.
Thank you so much, Modi, for that wonderful introduction. Hi, Ajna, and good evening, Gabbys and the guests here. So the target speaker today is Ajna, and she will be presenting Presentation Mastery Level 1, Project 3, Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance the speech. I can't wait to hear the speech, and all the best, Ajna. Over to you, Tia Modi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shilpa. And now I would like to invite the second speaker for the day, Toastmaster Yajna. Yajna is a journalism and mass communication student from Delhi University. She's passionate about writing engaging content that helps brand connect with their audience. Having some project-based experience, she's now seeking permanent employment in this field. And we have our lovely Toastmaster Yajna on stage, and the timer is ready. Toastmaster Yajna, can you just unmute yourself and say something?
Hi, I'm audible?
Yes, you are audible. Thank you so much. Toastmaster Yajna, time. Time, Toastmaster Yajna.
Time. As much as we want to hold it tight, it always slips through our fingers, just like sand, doesn't it? Time management is a tool which helps us manage our time, focus on the limited time which we have, and make the most of it. It doesn't only restrain us to, do the best in the possible time, but also allows us to live our life to the fullest. On this note, I'd like to know from you, all of you, how many times you have ended up in a situation wherein you have tried your best possible things. You have done everything in your possibility, yet you have ended up in a situation where no time is left, wherein you don't know how to deal with a certain situation. And you don't know that by the end of the day where all those hours went. Have you been in that situation? You can show me with a raise of your hand. Exactly. So relatable. So many of you are raising your hands right now. And I have been in one such situation, which was an eye-opener for me. So picture this, a bright sunny morning, and very important meeting to attend in my office while I was doing my internship. I am running in the streets of this chaotic city like a headless chicken, and time slipping away from the watch, which I had snoozed in the morning several times because I didn't know that if I'll be snoozing it a few times, I'll end up in that situation, which I'm going to tell you now. I'm running and running and running and running. And somehow I realized that because of a few snoozes I made on that clock, I missed my bus and I couldn't reach my office for the meeting. I was late by half an hour. It was a very shitty meeting. I did not perform well. I was very underconfident because I was late, not at all punctual. And because of a few delays here and there in the morning, my whole day was a series of unfortunate events. And by the end of the day, I was very sad. It was the most undesirable day ever. And why? Only because of a few snoozes? Yes, this is what happened when we don't manage our times. And that day, I was very sad, but a profound thing, a profound realization struck me just like a bolt of lightning. That time doesn't stop for us. Time doesn't value us if we don't value time. It slips away in seconds. And if we want to get along with it, and if we want to be successful, then we need to go along with it and value it as much as we value ourselves. Now, I wouldn't call myself a master of time management, but through this whole journey in my last 1 year, I have used a few tips and tricks here and there for managing my time, which has helped me a lot. So, first, setting goals, your clear goals, and prioritizing your tasks. So setting your goals is very important, be it short-term goals or long-term goals. When you set your goals, they work like a compass and lead you through the path of your life. And prioritizing your tasks is yet another very important thing to do. When you prioritize your tasks, you can make two different categories, a very important category and a can wait category. When you do this, this creates a mind map, which helps you differentiating between the tasks which you have to do. And when you do that, you can rank them in the priority order, and it shows the significance every task has in your life. By significance, I mean the tasks which are the high priority ones will be the ones which have a greater impact on your life as compared to the others. Second thing which you must keep in mind is breaking down the larger tasks. So when I tell you that you need to study for 6 hours straight and you need to achieve certain number of marks by studying for sitting there for 6 hours and 8 hours, doesn't that sound very overburdening, overpowering, and overwhelming? Oh my God. I'll be very tired if my mother, if my mentor, if my tutor comes up to me and says, Yachna, you need to sit for 6 hours straight in front of your laptop, open your book and just, wrap everything up. I wouldn't be able to do that. But if I tell you that you can break those 6 hours into the intervals of 2 hours each with a little break in between, does it sound exhausting now? No, it doesn't. That's what breaking up your tasks into smaller sections means. The third one is usefulness of technology. We live in a technological advancing world wherein it acts like a two-edged sword. Either it can be your relentless foe, or it can be your wisest companion and best ally you can ever get, depending upon your mind. So rather than mindlessly scrolling through your phone, you can use your technology and social media apps to actually for your own benefit. Now, generally people think that time management is all about sturdy plans and rigidness of the day and you have to do planning, journaling. No. Time management is all about balancing things, prioritizing your tasks, and focusing on the right things. You need to learn the art of saying no. The day you learn the art of saying no, that is the day when you know which tasks are important for you and which aren't. Let me share a little secret. Time management doesn't always mean being rigid, as I just mentioned. It means allowing spontaneity and allowing surprises to come into your life. It also means that the most magical moments would happen only and only when you let go of the obsession with planning every second and embrace the beauty of unexpectedness. So let us strive to strike between order and serendipity. Let us weave time management into the fabric of our lives and leaving a room for a little delightful surprises. Embrace laughters, embrace tears, and moments that take your breath away. Life's most treasured memories are often the ones that happen when we expect them not to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Another virtual round of applause, please, for such a lovely and wonderful speech, Yajna. Like, I am also grappling with time management tonight, and people who know me will know that. And I love this when you said something that is balance between order and serendipity, and embrace that serendipity. I love that. Thank you so much. I'm sure many of your phrases tonight have been embedded in as messages in all of us, guests as well as Toastmasters. Without further ado, let's go to the third speaker of the day. Now, the third speaker for tonight is Toastmaster Sanjana. But before I call her up on stage, I would like to call her evaluator, Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi Hegde. Sri Lakshmi Hegde is a certified image consultant and soft skills trainer by profession. Her interest in public speaking and leadership skills made her join Toastmasters. She is a double Triple Crown winner and double path breaker, the founder of Imaginatic Image Consulting Services, and the third evaluator for today. Sri Lakshmi, over to you for the project details.
Thank you, Toastmaster John, for a lovely introduction of myself. My target speaker, Sanjana, is attempting her L3P2 speech, that is connect with storytelling. That her path is persuasive influence. The purpose of her project is for member to practice using a story with a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Note, the member completing this project is focusing on using stories in a speech, creating a speech that is a story. The member may use any type of story, personal, professional, well-known, fiction, or his or her own creation. The way she deliver it should be, her speech should be a story today. It should be like a story. What do you? I wish my target speaker, Sanjana, all the best. What do you?
Thank you. Thank you, Sri Lakshmi, for the project details. We have already Sanjana on Spotlight. Let me give a little bit introduction for her. Toastmaster Sanjana is a student of IIT Varanasi, and she's currently pursuing her BTech plus MTech in Maths and Computing. She loves riding her dad's Meteor and playing badminton and reading books on business, trekking, and waveboarding. Wow. She's keen to start her own brand that will bring about a positive change in society. And we hope you do that, Sanjana. Sanjana, a little audio check.
Yeah. Am I visible? Am I audible?
You are beautifully visible and audible. Kindly spotlight the timer too, Zoom Master. Thank you so much. Toastmaster Sanjana. Failure. Toastmaster Sanjana.
Time travel. Wondering what I'm waiting for? My class 10 board exam results, they'll be declared in another 3, 2, 1. Papa and Mama, 98.6%. Did you hear that too? And you know what's my gift? I get to attend the summer badminton training camp at the Karnataka Badminton Association. Yes! 3 months into the celebration. Oh, I got a 98.6%. What? Pondering why amn't I in KBA? Practicing tooth and nail? Thanks to Corona, instead of smashing birdies, I'm sitting and smashing the like button. But don't I have better business to do? I'm in 11th grade and I have my quarterly exams in a week. Why do I even care? I am smart. And there's Google Baba to help me. Come on, the exams are online. After a couple of months, my badminton coaching opens. I play day in and day out. I bunk online classes. And when I'm not playing, I chat with friends or read novels. But, fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests, temporary enjoyment is delightful. But if indulged in it for too long, it gradually transforms into ignorance. I let time slip through my fingers like sand. Neglecting studies became a habit, as if I were running away from the pressure that loomed overhead. Sanjana, did you finish preparing for the upcoming KVPY entrance examination? Yes, Dad. Sanjana, did you finish preparing for the class 11 final examinations? Of course, Mom. But lies, they couldn't save me for long. And on the result day, Dad, here is my report card. What's your rank? Second from the bottom. From tomorrow, no badminton and no novels. And don't ever show me that innocent face of yours until you prove to me that you can do something valuable. The reality had hit me. It felt like a tight slap on my face.
I began crying, tears of shame. I had wasted time and money. I had lied to my parents. I had lied to my teachers and to myself. All my friends had decided what they wanted to pursue after 12th. But me, the silly little girl, where was I going? Had I become a stranger to my own dreams? My dad had stopped speaking to me. My mom had lost all hopes in me. After a couple of days, I discovered this entrance examination called the JEE. It gets you admitted in the most prestigious engineering colleges in India, the IIT. The toughest pre-university exam in the world. But somewhere within, the flame ignited, and I believed I could do this. I mustered up some courage and went up to Dad. Dad, I have decided that I want to crack the JEE, and I'll require some stringent coaching for this. You think money grows on the money plant, is it? First you ask 2 lakh for your badminton, and then 1.5 lakh for your academics, and now you want another 1.5 lakh for your, what do you call it? This JEE coaching. Go and get your head straight first. I ran to my room, locked the door. I couldn't sleep that night. I had made a mess of my life. Next day morning, a knock on my door. My dad came in. Get ready quickly. Your JEE coaching starts at 9, and I don't want you to be late. This was my only opportunity, and I held on to it. I grabbed tight. And from there was no looking back. The first few months were a tough ride, with ranks of around 20,000 in my practice examinations. But gradually, things started to improve. I got ranks within the top 5,000, the top 1,000. And then I got selected for the spotlight batch consisting of the top 100 students from my coaching institute. Dad began speaking to me again. And after 18 months of blood, sweat, and tears, I finally did it. Today, in IIT Varanasi, I sometimes get lost wondering how I spent those 18 months. Fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests, my dad used to say this to me, and I want to share it with you. With every failure, you learn and grow, becoming stronger and unstoppable flow, till the fear of defeat no longer holds its might. For you, rise above and embrace the fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sanjana. You always start with a high and end with a high, and that was a very high and wonderful speech. Thank you so much. I'm sure many of us connected to the confusion and to that paranoia that we as teenagers feels, maybe not to the 98%. I'm sure I did not connect to that, never got that, but still, I'm sure all other confusion we all connected to, the 41 people right now present in the room. Thank you so much. And with that, we finish the prepared speakers round for the day. But it's not the end of the meeting. The meeting has to go on. And before we go to the next session, let's get back to the theme of the day. But before that, we need the timers report for the prepared speeches so that we can get it for the poll. So timer, can you tell, are there any disqualifications in the 3 prepared speeches today?
There are no disqualifications.
Thank you so much. There are no disqualifications. So all the 3 speakers are qualified for the poll tonight. Thank you so much. Now, getting back to mythology, DTM Saurav clearly told me what is mythology. Now there are different types of mythology. Can anyone tell me what are the different types of mythology? Like, I know everybody knows Hindu mythology. Everybody has heard about Hindu mythology. But apart from that, anything else?
Greek mythology.
Greek mythology, thank you. Anything else? Greek is there, Hindu is there. Come on, guys. Any guesses? There's no right or wrong. Any guesses?
Egyptian.
Yeah.
Egyptian.
Egyptian. Yes. Very good. Egyptian mythology. Thank you so much. So we have Hindu, we have Greek, we have Egyptian.
Jainism.
Chinese.
Pardon? I couldn't hear you.
Chinese mythology.
Chinese. Yes. Chinese. Obviously, we have Chinese. We have Japanese. Thank you so much. So yeah, people do know about mythology. My biggest fear was that people won't know all these different types of mythology, but you do. So there are different types of mythology. And you can see the list, right? Like there are more than 20, 30 different types of mythology. But tonight we are not going to go into that. You have Celtic, Jewish, Islamic, Christian, Norse, the ones you call Vikings, Japanese, Buddhist, Korean. Every culture and every different part of this world has their own myth, own story. But tonight we're going to talk about leaders in mythology. Now, does anyone know what this picture is? Or who is this person in this picture? This is a very famous statue, by the way. Any guesses? I think I heard you right. It's Zeus.
Yeah,
who is
Zeus.
Yeah, who's Zeus?
He's the Greek god of lightning.
Thank you so much. May I know who's speaking? I cannot see your face on the screen. That's why.
I'm so sorry. I'm Ravisha this side. Ravisha Agarwal.
Thank you,
I'm a new
Ravisha.
Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ravisha. Ravisha rightly said, it's Zeus, the god of lightning, or the god of the gods in Greek mythology. Now, Zeus is known as, a great leader. There are a lot of controversies regarding Zeus in Greek mythology. And if there are Greek mythology fans in this room, they'll know that. But he's also known as a great leader. You know why? Because he is known as a leader with an entrepreneurial spirit. Now, what is this entrepreneurial spirit we are talking about? Zeus became the god of the gods, but there's a story behind that. He killed his own father, Kronos, to become the god. Oh my God. Killed his own father. Yes, that's true. That's the myth, at least, that he killed his own father because his father was not like a great father. Honestly, his father, Kronos, would kill his own sons. Every single time a child was born, Kronos would swallow the child. Zeus was secretly spared and saved by his mother and her nurse. Okay, so then he comes back, fights, kills his own father, and then what he does, he becomes the god of all the gods in the Greek mythology. He is known as a great leader because he has a complete control over communication. That's the first thing in leadership. You need to have a good control over the communication. What's happening inside your organization, whether it's your club, whether it's your organization where you're working for. What is happening? If as a leader, you don't have control over the communication, then it's very difficult for you to take the right decisions. Now, Zeus was also known for taking single-handed and quick decisions. He did not wait for the board of directors. Like, let Poseidon come in, let Hades come in, we'll sit down on the roundtable conference, let the sun god Apollo come in, and then we'll talk and decide. No. Zeus always was a very quick decision maker, and that's why he was known as an efficient decision maker. But one of the problems with Zeus was what, he was a one-man army. Obviously, because he's taking every decision on his own. He does not consider any. But he is known for his management skills. Even though he was a one-man army, he was not the most powerful god, but he was very shrewd and very intelligent and knew how to manage people. And the reason was because he had complete control over communication. So next time when you go for a leadership position, think about the communication channel in your organization. As a leader, do you have the communication in your hand? Do you know what is actually happening with your subordinates and your colleagues? This is one of the most interesting stories that I actually want to talk about today. The Phaeton and Apollo. Anybody knows this story? A quick raise of hand? Or just a heart or something? Phaeton and Apollo story. Now, this is a very interesting story. Phaeton is Apollo's son. Apollo, who is Apollo? Apollo is the sun god in Greek mythology. Okay. And one day, Phaeton's mother tells him, you know what? You are Apollo's son. So Phaeton didn't know he was Apollo's son. Then Apollo, he goes to Apollo and he says, are you my father? Truly, are you my father? He says, yes, I am your father. son, and I will prove it to you. Ask me anything you want and I'll give it to you. Now, Apollo is the sun god and he rides on the chariot. You can see the chariot and those beautiful unicorns in the myth. So Apollo usually rides a chariot and he keeps the time. He keeps the control over the sun. Phaeton goes to Apollo and says, Dad, allow me to ride your chariot. That's my dream. Apollo says, no, obviously not. I'm not going to do that. You don't know how to ride the chariot. You'll cause a mess. Phaeton says, no, I'll do it nicely. I know what I'm doing. Apollo says, no, I'm not going to give it to you. Then Phaeton blackmails. He says, you are my father. You promised me you'll give me everything. If you love me, give me the chariot. Phaeton goes down and gives him Apollo gives him the chariot. Now Phaeton goes on the chariot, starts riding and causes a havoc throughout earth and the heavens. And you know what happens? In the end, Zeus kills Phaeton. He has to execute Phaeton to save the earth from the chaos, to save the heaven from the chaos. Now you can go back and read the whole story in detail. It's a beautiful story. But you know what? The lesson this tale gives you, it's a lesson of caution. Apollo is a very good leader. He's very intelligent. He's very empathetic, but he's also extremely emotional. He becomes too emotional and gives in when his son says, give me the chariot. And in the end, what happens? He loses his son. Executives, leaders, your choices affect the whole enterprise. Your choices affect the whole organization. So if Apollo had stopped and thought, I love my son, but if I give this chariot to him, it's not just about my son, but it's about the whole humanity. It's about the whole heaven, right? It will create a havoc everywhere. So I need to stop and think about the whole organization instead of just my love for my son. Then maybe he wouldn't have lost his son. So executives and leaders, whenever you make a choice, remember, think of the big picture. Think of the forest, not just of the leaves, not just of one person, but of the whole organization. That is the story of Phaeton and Apollo. Now we have two more stories. One is from northern China and one from our own India. But before I get into those stories, why not go to the second session of the day? That is table topics. Now, in Toastmasters, we have a very interesting session called Table Topics, where guests can also participate. But I won't give you the introduction for table topics. We have our table topic master for the day, Toastmaster Jitendra Rolania, who will be telling you about what the table topic is and facilitating the session. Now, Jitendra Rolania is a travel enthusiast who's interested in different cultures and values. I'm sure, Jitendra, you loved my TMOD session today because you're interested in different cultures. He's a proficient horse rider, wow, who believes in the circle of influence, always focusing on things which he can control. He's passionate about running, and he says it's like meditation for him. Over to you, Toastmaster, table topic master of the day, Jitendra.
Thank you, Toastmaster Joan. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. So today I'm playing a role of table topic master. But before I go and explain what table topic master is, I think it is important that why table topic is important in Toastmasters. I think it helps you in honing your impromptu speaking. Along with that, many times we encounter a situation, we caught by surprise. We don't know how to manage those difficult conversations or when we are not aware about the subject. So it will prepare you to respond to those situations. So moving on, I'm looking for some more volunteers, and I would be happy to see your faces. If you can switch on your cameras, definitely that would be great. Yeah, any volunteers before today I have a privilege to choose. Okay, yeah, we have Toastmasters Samita Kar. So the table topic for you is one mythological character who inspires you every day. One mythological character who inspires you every day.
Good evening. Mythology, something we love reading about and listening about. Not only Indian mythology, but the other mythologies which Toastmaster Joan Joseph just told us about. We don't know about all the mythologies, but I have read quite a few. I love that one character from our very own Indian mythology. That is Krishna. Why do I love Krishna? For one, he is a master at conversation, negotiation, and ultimately giving advice which will help wherever he is there, whichever party he is leading. It is wonderful to note that at every juncture that he was faced with one problem or the other, he sought out the solutions for it. Although he was called as Ranchotas because he left the battlefield to go and settle somewhere else, but he chose progress over repeatedly fighting the same battle and losing his relative. This was, I think so, one of the most toughest decisions he had to take. He had a reputation to see that his reputation is not tarnished. At the same time, he loved his fellow human beings so much so that he wanted to go and, even at the cost of his name, set up a new city, setting up something new so far away so that other people can't come and trouble him there was difficult, extremely difficult, but he took that. And that is the reason I love this character.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Thank you, Toastmaster Samita Kar. Definitely, Krishna's influence is there in everyone's life, whether it's a negotiation or influence or become a visionary for what we want in life. With that, I think let me go for a second topic. I think we have Srijita. Are you ready?
Yeah, now that you've picked me, I am.
Okay, fine. So topic for you is Trojan horse.
Sorry?
Trojan horse. Have you watched the Troy movie where they built the wooden horse and then left outside the city of Troy?
No, I know.
Okay.
Once upon a time, I took a decision which came in my life like a Trojan horse. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Do you guys know exactly what the Trojan horse was? It was this big statue of a horse which was gifted by one enemy kingdom to another. I don't remember which ones. And they said, oh, this is a statue. We are gifting this to you as a relic. Please keep it. And they took it, obviously, because who refuses a gift? And they opened it. I mean, they didn't open it, but there were soldiers inside that statue. And they eventually conquered that kingdom. They defeated that particular kingdom. And why I compared this decision of mine to a Trojan horse is because I brought this into my life as a gift. What was this decision? It was choosing a distance program as my undergraduate course. And I thought of this, oh my God, this is the best thing I'm doing for myself. This is such a gift I am giving to myself. And this is going to enrich me because it gives me the time to work on my projects, to work on my particular interests and ideas. And then the soldiers came out of it. What were those soldiers? Lack of time management. What were those commanders which came at me with their spears and their arrows and their other 50,000 weapons that they had? Lack of networking, lack of mentorship, lack of accountability, and God knows so many more. And my kingdom was annexed completely for a very long time. So yeah, I have my fair experience with Trojan horses. But
thank you. Yeah, go on.
Conquer them someday.
Yeah, I think I like the analogy how you have correlated with your own Trojan horse with what it was in the mythology. So that was a great take, and definitely we always face those Trojan horses within our life and how we can overcome for it. So next, I think we can go ahead with Komal. Are you ready? Komal? No? Okay. Can we go ahead with Deepika?
Upasana has raised her hand.
Okay. Fine. We can go ahead with Upasana. So table topic for you is, whose leadership style do you prefer? It's Lord Krishna or Lord Rama?
That is a very diplomatic question. But I would love, since I love Mahabharata a lot, with its layered topics, and every story has its own layer and has its own meaning and moral, I'll incline towards Krishna a lot, because his leadership quality, his diplomacy, and his utter leadership quality is so good. Even there are so small instances which I have learned a lot. And the way he sees an opportunity or a problem is spectacular. He becomes neutral, and that's where his leadership, his leadership qualities come up. And the same way he has fought in the Kurukshetra match, even though he did not take up any weapon, but just by his mind games, he made sure that Pandavas win the match. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Upasana. Definitely, initially when I joined this corporate life, I was, moving more towards Lord Rama, but then slowly switched the side towards Lord Krishna. And I'm sure you would agree to that. So next, any volunteer? I don't see any hands.
DGM
Saurav has raised his hand.
Okay, Saurav. Okay, the topic for you is one mythological character you fear most.
Shakuni. I fear Shakuni not for, what you would rather imagine, that of his compromising values. Because if you actually read the history behind Shakuni's character, you would understand that whatever he did was actually as a repercussion, as a reaction to all the wrongs that happened to him. So I don't have anything against Shakuni. See, the Mahabharata or the Ramayana that is taught to us in a very utopian setting. This is how the world should be. Ram Rajya and all that. There's a whole lot of dark truth behind it. And Shakuni is one such character which has been put down in every single instance. Then why am I scared of Shakuni? Because of his brains. Though we know that, we have been appreciating Krishna a lot. But understand that Krishna had divine powers. He had the Brahmanda inside him. He could he could walk on the sea, water. He can fly. He can do everything that we do not do. Shakuni was a human like you and me. And yet he had the power to bring down the entire Pandava dynasty, even if they had the support of Krishna. You may say, okay, Krishna helped them win them back. But my question is, one man made the entire dynasty go down on their knees, despite they having the God standing with them. And I think that's where the inspiration comes from, that line that we heard from Shah Rukh Khan: never underestimate the power of a common man. And Shakuni symbolizes that, the power of a common man. If you have the brains, if you know how to use it, when to use it, where to use it, and to use it the right way, I think you can do wonders. And it doesn't matter whether it's a David standing against you or a Goliath. It doesn't matter whether it's Krishna standing against you or Balaram. What matters is that, are you putting the right pieces of the puzzle together at the right time? And this character, Shakuni, is scary. Humans can be this powerful? Over to you, TT.
Thank you, Toastmaster Saurav. I think that's a great take, because the moment you said Shakuni and the Goofy Painter picture came in my mind. Still, I remember that when I watched Mahabharata and how he influenced and led to this confusion, and Pandavas on their knees. So thank you for sharing this. Now we have Toastmaster Ravisha. I hope we can manage with one more table topic. So
yes, we can.
Yeah. So Toastmaster Ravisha, are you ready?
Absolutely. This is my first time opening my mouth and presenting my voice. So I'm hoping all good things come out. Yes, please.
Okay, then I'll give you the simpler one. The most important lesson you learned from Ganesha, because whenever we do any new ceremonies or new shop, or whenever we buy big things, we always pray for Ganesha. So anything plays important role which you think is, played a significant role in your life or influenced your life?
I think, Ganesha was this very modern person, modern character of mythology for that time. He is the truest example that one needs to do smart work and not hard work. I mean, you simply do smart work, make your mark, be clear what you want to achieve, and you can do wonders. Because this story about Ganesha, which is the most famous one, is when Lord Shiva asked him that, take a parikrama of the whole Brahman. And, the Lord Kartikeya, of course, he had this mighty peacock to go on. But our Ganesh had this small little mouse. But and he still, thought that what is the smartest way to go about it? So he applied his EQ and IQ. Definitely my parents are my world. And what is better than me going around my parents? And that's where I think, when I think of him, I realize, okay, if your intentions are good and you know exactly what you want, there's always a better way of doing it, which is much quicker, much faster, and much more efficient. So that's it from my side.
Yeah, thank you, Ravisha, for sharing your thoughts, because I clearly remember how intelligent and knowledge, wisdom he used, just to do the parikrama of Shiva and Parvati, just to fool his brother. And okay, then before we close this table topic, one last, last topic, anyone wants to try?
Smruti has raised her hand.
Okay. Yeah, Smruti, shall we go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the table topic for you is one mythological character you would love to play.
Okay, now I'm trying to unravel all the thoughts which I had so that I can come up with a character. But one character which an outstanding character for me was the fighter, Karna. I don't know the entire background of it, but I know him as a warrior. A warrior who faced a lot of challenges in both personal and professional front at his time. He had to undergo a lot of peer pressure while growing up. He had to mark a place for himself. In spite of having a good background, he didn't have an association with his own family. He had all the fears, but he made sure to overcome, to surpass everything, and created a remarkable impression in history. Karna, known as the Sudputra, tried his best to learn the best of his ability. Even though his own family, his own peers parked him aside while moving ahead, he took the best option which was available with him. He took the side of the Kauravas. He was determined, dedicated towards the friendship. He also showed, was a great example. Whenever we read anything about Mahabharata, Karna was also known for keeping up promises. So he knows if you have made a commitment, you have to stick to it. He was a great warrior. So the lesson which I learned from him, or whom I admire a bit, that you have to be the best of yourself, irrespective of the circumstances, irrespective of the situation, because it's you, it's what's within you, and no one can take it away from you. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Smurti. I think that's a wonderful take, because Karna is known for his words, and definitely that will help us if we stick to our words and not to deviate from it. So thank you. I think we are done with table topics now. So back to you, Toastmaster Joan.
Thank you so much, Table Topic Master, for that lovely mythology related topics. You kept the table topic with the theme and you connected all the questions. Thank you so much. We will have our table topic poll. In this poll, we will vote for, you can vote for the best table topic speaker that you think. Timer, please, can you let us know, are there any disqualification for the table topic speakers?
There are no disqualifications.
Thank you so much. So all the speakers are now eligible for voting. You'll get a poll on your screen. Vote for the best table topic speaker that you think gave the best speech tonight. And meanwhile, let's go back to mythology. We have so many, discussions around Mahabharata today that I am now thinking, should I bring Mahabharata as a separate topic of leadership through Mahabharata, not just leadership through mythology. But Mahabharata is something I feel everyone knows about, everyone talks about. At least Indians know a lot about Mahabharata, right? But there is something very different about different cultures and the mythology stories. And I want you guys to explore that. We spoke about the Greek mythology, which is very famous. Correlating to Greek, you have the Roman mythology, again, very famous. But not many people know about Chinese mythology. Has anyone heard about Hua Mulan? She's a very famous character and there have been movies about her. Hua Mulan is a mythological character from northern China. And I did a lot of research to find out whether she's a real character or a mythological character. And the debate is still going on, but the winners always believe that it's a myth, it's not a reality. And the story of Hua Mulan is very beautiful. At a time in northern China, in the ancient times, when women were not even educated, when women were not even allowed to work, this young girl decided to go for war. Her father was a warrior. And at that time in northern China, the culture was such that when there is a war, the king would give an edict. And from every house, you have to send a man. Every house has to send a man to war. Now, in Mulan's house, she was the only daughter. There were no sons. And her father was a warrior, but he was 60 plus years old. He was old and he was disabled, already disabled because of a war that he had already won like years back. When the edict came and they were asked to give a son, they didn't have a son. So the father said, fine, I will take the sword and I will go to war. But Mulan knew that if my father goes to war tomorrow morning, he's not going to come back because he's old and he's disabled. So what she does, she at night secretly cuts her hair with the sword and adorns the armor of her father, takes the edict and goes to the barracks and lies that she's the son, not a daughter. She lies that she is the son of the Hua family and she goes to war. And she goes to war and she becomes actually a very big general who wins the war for northern China, the dynasty. She's a symbol of courage and heroism at a time in northern China where women were not even, allowed to step out of the house. It's a very famous and beautiful story. I encourage you all guys to just go and Google and read about it. But what is the leadership lesson that we learn from Hua Mulan? The first thing you learn is when all doors close, go for the crazy idea. As a leader, many times I feel I'm in a fix and I can't find some solution. So do we give up? Yes, sometimes you have to give up. But before you give up, before you are on that verge of saying, that's it, I can't do anything more, think of that crazy idea that's going on in your mind. Maybe it's cutting off your hair and posing as a male and going to war. Doesn't matter. When every door closes, it's the crazy ideas that will open the windows for you. So take that as a leader. Always don't reject the crazy idea. Be open to all the ideas, and however crazy it may be, these crazy ideas are the ones which will take you off the hook in those crucial moments. Another very beautiful message that this story gives me is you may be called to lead when you're not ready. Mulan was a girl. She was not even thinking about going to war. She was not a feminist. Mind you, she didn't think that I have to prove that a girl can fight. No, she went to war. She was not ready for it. She just went to war because she knew that she needed to go. She needed to lead, to save her family, to save her father. Many a times, you are called to become a VP PR of your club or become a president of your organization. When such calls come in, you may feel like I'm not ready for it, but that's fine. Leaders are not meant to be ready. They are meant to lead when they are called for. And the last, but not the least, is do not allow your past legacy to hold you back. If Mulan would have thought, I'm a girl, I'm just 16-year-old, I don't know how to fight. My legacy is to be a woman and cook in the kitchen. If she would have let those past legacies hold her, she wouldn't have been, hero. A story, a hero, a mythological character that even today, after 2000 years, people are talking about. So don't let your past or your legacy, whatever your legacy is, hold you back. You can start from wherever you are today and decide to change yourself and change your organization, your community, your family. So that's a very beautiful story and very beautiful lesson that I personally take from Hua Mulan. Now there's one last story that I want to share tonight, but that is for the later. Now I would like to go for the third session of the day. And this session is one of the most important sessions in Toastmasters. It's the evaluation, it's the feedback. You saw speakers coming and speaking. You saw table topic speakers coming and giving their short speeches. But how did they do? Were they good? Can they do something better? To talk about this, we have the evaluation session, and I would like to now call upon the general evaluator for the day, Toastmaster Rupa. Toastmaster Rupa, the stage is all yours.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Joanne. I know I'm not supposed to start my general evaluator's report right away, but I should say I'm impressed with how to the agenda we are. It's 8:50 general evaluation and it's exactly 8:51 right now. And that one changed after you called me on stage. On that very happy note, before I present the general evaluator's report, I'd like to call upon the first evaluator, Toastmaster Priyanka, to present her remarks for the first prepared speaker speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Priyanka.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, dear guests, and Toastmaster Pranav in particular. Toastmaster Pranav, thank you so much for unraveling my memory 3 years back when I attended this Bhutakola event. I must say you had a powerful, energetic start. Your speech title was The movement, and my evaluation will be on the of the speech, where the A, the first A of is the articulation of your idea, the structuring of your speech. You articulated the story so well with right amount of details that it created vivid images of the festival and the celebration that you had. Second A is the anchoring of your story, your transition. You started with the Kantara story, a very relatable subject, and took that to explain the Saya festival that is celebrated in the North. And you very well got that across because not many might have been aware of it. So you got it very relatable. Second thing is, another thing that I really like is to explain during what period this festival is usually celebrated. You got in your personal story of your summer vacation and the way you correlated that was really well. The transitions from your opening to moving into your personal story was very well crafted. The third, that is the H, is you hooked the audience, your delivery. You brought in your personal story and the conviction in which you delivered your story, literally you grabbed the audience attention. In my opinion, you had the audience attention throughout your speech. Because of the right amount of energy, the way you started your story, relatable, in my opinion, you had the audience attention. And you concluded also rightly. The fourth, that is the A, is the advancement of your speech. Now, there's always room of improvement. So to advance your speech to the next level, if I may give you a few suggestions, one thing that, in my opinion, that you need to work a little more will be on your pause and the variation, your pacing, your pause and the pacing of your speech when you're delivering, because that could also help you in adding your variation in your voice modulation. When you have the right amount of pause at the right places and your pacing, it will also help in right delivery of in terms of voice modulation. Since this is your second path that you're attempting, keeping that in mind, I would suggest you, knowing this entire concept of this festival, you could have probably elaborated a little more about it and got that into bringing it in terms of some kind of important points that person can use it as a personal improvement or something, having today's theme in mind. Otherwise, overall, amazing speech and all the best for your future speeches. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Madam Evaluator. For this second speaker's feedback, I'd like to call on stage Toastmaster Shilpa to present her remarks.
Thank you so much. Know when to say no. If not, learn how to say no. That has been my favorite line of your speech, Ejna. Adding to that, I would say learn how to say no to yourself for spending time on unnecessary gigs so that it will help us indeed to manage the time effectively. Well, thank you, Ejna, for choosing a wonderful topic and for reminding us about time management. Indeed, which is a problem for each one of us here, and you could relate. The topic is related to everyone here. It is a well-organized speech. And I'm sure you gave an introduction by asking a question which actually grabbed audience attention. And by sharing your experience with the audience, they could resonate with what you're talking about. It is a problem solution speech and very well delivered there. Well, did you meet the purpose of the objective of using vocal variety and body language? Yes. However, my job is to evaluate your body language during the speech, including gestures and non-verbal communication along with your vocal variety, pace, tone, pitch, and volume. So in specific to the project purpose, please listen carefully as I won't summarize it again. I'll tell you what you excelled at, what you can work upon, and what you can challenge yourself. So you excelled at unintentional body movement with your hands and moving towards the laptop and or system and then going away. It was very unintentional, and it was lovely. Second thing is tone and pitch. The quality and modulation of how your words sounded to our ears is very apt to the topic. It was very pleasant to hear to you. You will find your speech much more effective, Yajna, if you can work on eye contact and pauses. See, when I'm talking about eye contact and pauses, they are both, in fact, as a matter of fact, they are both related. How? When you keep looking at the audience, whether they're smiling, nodding, or amazed with what you're talking, your pauses become more relevant because you are reacting to their reaction, right? You're responding to their action. So when you said time doesn't stop for us, you could have taken your pause a bit longer and let the audience think about that statement rather than being at the same level. And if I were you, I would challenge myself to try to increase and decrease the pace of the speech and also the volume whenever it is required. For example, again, you used a phrase, story, which I am going to tell you now. So instead of that, you could have said, story, which I am going to tell you now. See, I've decreased the speed, but then I increased the volume there. So that's all for me. That's all from me for you. And it is indeed a pleasure, Ejna, to evaluate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Shilpa. And last but not the least, I'd like to call on stage Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi to present the remarks for the third prepared speaker.
Congratulations, my target speaker, Sanjana, for delivering a successful speech on connecting with storytelling. Your title connected very well with the story you have delivered it today. When you are telling about your failure journey, you are explaining about your result. You are explaining telling result how when you failed in scored less mark. I went to my college days when I used to score just passing mark. When I used to fail, how I used to think, how I used to tell my mom, I went back to my memory line. That you have a deep connect with the audience. You connected connected very well with the audience. Audience hooked into your speech. I must say, not only me, everyone went back to their college days. And you did a fantastic job on there when you're explaining about your conversation between mom and dad. You made changes in your voice also. when you are speaking to your mom and explaining about, and again you played your role and mom's role differently, similarly changes in voice between mom and dad. And one thing I loved it, when you are making conversation between your mom and dad, you made there also difference between voice, how your mom responds, how your dad responds. You did a fantastic job on it, and fantastic job. You are a fantastic storyteller. I must say you are a very, very fantastic storyteller. And one thing, as every story, whether it's a movie story, Netflix story, every story should have a happy ending, right? Similarly, your story also had a happy ending. You explained about IIT, cracking the IIT exam with your hard work, dedication, with your dad's support. Everything was great. You did a fantastic job. Definitely, you have met the objectives of the project, objectives of the project today. And as all the speeches, you will definitely, you are a great speaker. You are a very well speaker, great storyteller also. Well, every speeches, there's a scope of improvement, right? I felt when you are telling about your marks, about your how you feel, you might have kept interacted with audience. Do you all feel scared? How your parents react when you tell your marks to your parents? How do you, this kind of interactive questions? There are a lot of points to interact with the audience today, like this what I have mentioned. Overall, it's a great. This kind of points you should have incorporated in your speech. Overall, it's a great speech, and definitely you have met the objectives of your project today. Congratulations on your successful speech. Looking forward for hearing your more speeches. As I always love to hear your speeches. Over to you, GE.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi. Before we proceed to the next segment, I request the Zoom master to please share. I request the timer to please make note if all the evaluators are qualified for voting.
First evaluator Toastmaster Priyanka is disqualified. Other two are qualified.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Sudharma. I request the Zoom master to release the polls accordingly. While the voting goes on, let's move on to the reports of the Tag L team. First up, I'd like to call the timer Toastmaster Sudharma to present her report.
You all can see the report.
Thanks a lot, Madam Timer. Next up, I'd like to call our accountant, Toastmaster Karthik, to present his report.
Thank you, General Evaluator Rupa. I'll share my screen to show the accountant report. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, this is the accountant report, and you can see the speakers using R's, Ein, and Er. So what I found is today many of the speakers used A, that is total 42 in count, and Ein as well. So even right now I'm as well using that Ein. So this is the report, and what I observed from the last meeting I took up accountant role is many of them have improved, not using much of crutch and filler words. So that's a happy news. And yes, so to be an effective speaker, so we should make mindful usage of all these crutch words and filler words. And this is the report. Thank you, Toastmaster Rupa. I'll give it back to you.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Karthik. I'd like to call upon our grammarian, Toastmaster Rohita, to quickly present her report. Toastmaster Rohita, you're on mute, so
Yes,
maybe you'd like to.
Yes. So can you see my screen now, the grammarian report?
Yes, thank you.
So for the word of the day, we had unravel. Please do excuse me if I did miss out a few, but I did hear Toastmaster Joanne, Toastmaster Priyanka use the word unravel. So there was many enriched words that were used today. So few that I've noted are demigod, monotonous, mesmerizing, intermingle, headless chicken. So I actually was losing count of these words. I think every meeting is a great way for us to enrich our language. So when I go back every day from a Toastmaster meet, I come myself, there are words that I want to use the next time when I have an interaction. So there were many such opportunities today. Flame ignited, stringent coaching. There was a beautiful quote used by Sanjana, hone your skills. And I think that what really touched a chord was Trojan horse. Trojan horse is anything that looks innocent but has the power to transform. So when we take up a challenge, that's a Trojan horse. Some of the evaluators to use some enriched words, vocabulary. Here is some rhetorical devices. So when the speakers, speaker 1, 2, 3, they used, we had Pranav who said, why did I speak about the festival? And he actually answered it. So that was in hyperphora. We personified time. I think in 2 of the speeches, time was personified. There was rule of 3 for emphasis used many times. There was repetition of sound with anaphora. There was an anticlimax, happen when we expect to not happen. So 2 opposites in one phrase. We had an antithesis. And I was actually losing the account of the hyperbole and the epithets that we had. So hyperbole is when you exaggerate, for impact, you put a lot of. So we used it for Krishna, for so many of the mythological characters that we spoke about today. And we also used epithet to describe. So adjectives, so using words to describe nouns is an epithet. And I think on the improvement side, it was just few pronunciation, like it's opportunity. When you say, we don't say to you, I would like to tell you. When you want to see, you say we did not see us would be not right. You say we did not meet them. So when we go to see someone, we actually say it's to meet them. We have a habit at times to use a lot of present continuous to give some briefing. Let me brief you. That has more impact because we tend to use a lot of continuous verb. So it's not holding our hands, but just holding hands. So we were holding hands. You don't need to say our hands. A better word to say a 2-edged sword would be double-edged sword. We also had temporary enjoyment. You could also say momentary enjoyment. To say get your head straight. You could also say get your act together. So these were few of where I thought a little more enriched words could be used. And this is my grammarian report. Thank you very much. I hand over back to G.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Rohita. Last but not the least, let's quickly hear from our listening master, Toastmaster Bimpi, before we move on to the General Evaluators report. Over to you, Toastmaster Bimpi.
Thank you, General Evaluator Rupa. So I will be having like 3 to 5 questions to check on listening skills for today's meeting. So I no need to like call out anybody, whoever like willing to reply to it, they can reply by their own will. So my first question is, who is the son of Zeus? Zeus. Okay. Nobody knows?
Surya.
Apollo. Okay. So I'm moving to the next question. So next question is, what is the dog pet name, which is Toastmaster Yajna Heavy?
Rowdy.
Rowdy, yeah, correct. So next question is, which festival Toastmaster Pranav used to celebrate during summer vacation? which festival
Something with
Toastmaster
Kantara.
Pranav?
I don't know what it is. Something to do with Kantara. A deity god.
No, which festival
What's the name?
Toastmaster Pranav used to celebrate during his summer vacation?
Bhutakola.
No, it's
Same.
Yeah, okay. And then I have last question, which is who is that person puts down the whole Pandava dynasty?
Shakuni.
Shakuni. Yeah, Shakuni. Correct. And last, one more question is there. Which movie Toastmaster Pranav mentioned in his today's speech?
Kantara.
Yeah.
Kantara.
Okay. This is all General Aviator Rupa. Over to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Bimpi, for quickly refreshing our memories from today's meeting. Now that we've heard from all the evaluators and the tag role takers and the listening master, let's move on to the general evaluators report. I will be starting from before the meeting and following through the flow of the meeting section by section. So the first exposure that I had to Gabby's online meeting was through the VP8, who briefed me on my role, shared the introduction of all the role takers that I'll be introducing today, and also shared the agenda with me. He also made sure that he had a call with me and explained how the meeting would go through. And this is some kind of preparation that I'm seeing for the first time in a Toastmasters club. And I can see the professionalism that this preparation brought to the meeting, because we seamlessly flowed through each section without flustering or floundering about what we should be doing. So I think that is one thing that we can all learn if we ever get to organize a Toastmasters meeting, that a lot of effort goes before the meeting starts in briefing the role takers and making sure that they have all the resources that they need to make the meeting successful. Also, in the meeting room itself, the Zoom meeting was opened at least 15 minutes ahead of time, because I joined at 7:15, so I know that the meeting room was open on time. The SA Toastmaster Saurav Datta was there in the meeting, and he made sure that he told all the role takers to name accordingly, and the guests from Gabbys and the Toastmasters from Gabbys and from outside to name accordingly, so that all the role takers would know how to address the audience. So I think that is also something that went really well. And two things that we can improve on in the before the meeting section is, one, an audio video check for role takers. Now this is something that I say with a bit of hypocrisy, because I also didn't do an audio video check in the 15 minutes before the meeting. But if any of you are taking up a role in the future, I'd strongly recommend that you leverage that time, take the help of the SA and do an audio video check, and if you're presenting content, check that as well, so that the meeting can be more seamless. The second suggestion for the XCOM would be, a couple of XCOM officers, maybe the VPM or the VPPR, can join in that 15 or 30-minute window before the meeting and have a casual conversation going on with the guests, so that it brings in that sense of camaraderie and makes the club a welcoming space for the guests. This is something that becomes more difficult because this is an online meeting, so that's something we can pay attention to. Now, coming to the start of the meeting, the SA's address itself, Toastmaster Saurav Datta again made sure that he mentioned the meeting etiquette that has to be followed, both in terms of, say, audio video and in terms of what we speak and utter in the meeting. He also introduced the presiding officer, and he in the role of the SA, he also made sure that he was very prompt with all the polls that were brought on screen, right when the presenter was saying that we will have a poll now. So all of that went really well. He also made sure that he took care of the Zoom aspects itself, be it letting people in the room, spotlighting people, or all of that. It was done so seamlessly that we didn't realize there was a person, at least at times I forgot that there was a person sitting and doing all this. So I think that is the level of prowess that we can all aim to bring in when we take up the role of Zoom master. One small suggestion for Toastmaster Saurav Datta in the role of SA would be, since you are the first person who officially speaks in a Toastmasters meeting, you can try to bring in some kind of hook or some kind of energy to the meeting by having a very short, engaging story, maybe an inspirational quote or something. It need not be very long. It can be 15 seconds or 30 seconds, but you can experiment with what you can do with this time to make sure that you have all the audience's attention with you, and you're also setting the energy level for the meeting. Moving on to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Karthik again did an excellent job as presiding officer. He introduced what Toastmasters was. He spoke about Gabbys Toastmasters Club, saying that this is our 7th meeting, we chartered very recently, all of that. He made sure that he had a guest introduction, and he was also mindful of the time by making sure he introduced some of the guests online and some in the chat. And he also acknowledged the new members. And by extension, I would say that the presiding officer took care of all the announcements that had to be made to the club. And he also introduced the Toastmaster of the day with a formal introduction. One suggestion would be give the date and time of the next meeting so that your guests know that this is not just a one-off occurrence. They can come here next week as well and join with you and all of those. And again, for Toastmaster Karthik as well, you as a presiding officer get an opportunity to inspire the club. You get to set the tone for the club. And if you are someone who's on the leadership track, this is your chance to experiment with how well you can inspire your audience in that 1 minute or 1 minute 30 seconds that you get. So I would strongly recommend, think of maybe one person who inspired you or one nice thing that happened to you in Toastmasters and share it with the club and see what impact you have. Work with your mentor to iterate on this so that at the end of the term you come off not just as a great leader but also someone who can inspire your audience like this in that 1 minute or 1 minute 30 seconds. Moving on to the TMOD, Toastmaster, oh my god, I forgot the TMOD's name, but
Joanne.
putting my crisis,
Joanne.
yeah, Toastmaster Joanne, sorry, putting my crisis moment aside, she had a very great theme. What is, she spoke about mythology and leadership in mythology. So she made sure that we still stick to the core ideas of Toastmasters, that is communication and leadership. This is something that I find very difficult to do whenever I take up the role of TMOD and want to have a fun Toastmaster of the Day session. I end up speaking about something that is not communication or leadership. But what Toastmaster Joanne has done today is something we should all try and emulate. Whatever theme we pick, even if it is a fun theme and really engaging theme, let's try and keep it as relevant to communication and leadership as possible, because that is what our members want from us. So she started with what is mythology. She asked questions to the audience to make sure we don't fall asleep. And in the beginning, she also made sure that she introduced the 3 parts of a Toastmasters meeting for the benefit of the guests. And then she introduced me, the GE, with a detailed introduction, with not just this person is going to be the GE, but this person is so and so, she works here and here, and like a formal introduction. And coming to the general evaluator segment, I made sure to introduce all of my role takers with the introductions that were given to me by the Vice President Education. One thing that I could have done better is, while introducing my role, I could have brought in a flavor of the theme. For instance, just like how Toastmaster Joanne correlated mythology with leadership, I could also have found a relevant story about, say, giving feedback or something in mythology, and then said, see, this is the importance of giving feedback, and this is what I'm going to do in the Toastmasters meeting. Doing that gives an innovative way of introducing the role to the members in the club, and this will be especially useful for new members and guests because it helps them better remember what that role taker does. So that's something I'll work on in the next meeting. Moving on to the Tag L role takers, all of them did a great job. All of them did a great job introducing their roles. Special call out to Toastmaster Karthik, who took up the role impromptu but still did a great job providing the introduction. And the timer made sure that she showed the backgrounds changing when she introduced her role. Now, this may seem like a trivial thing, but that's something we have to pay attention when we take up the role of timer, because especially because it's an online platform, people may not know what to expect when we say, I'll show the green card. So it's important that we change our background and tell them that this is what I'm going to be doing when it's 2 minutes. This is what I'm going to be doing when it's 3 minutes, and so on. So kudos to the timer on that. And the grammarian made sure she introduced the word of the day, shared it in the chat, and also called out that we have to give a thumbs up when the word of the day is used. The listening master also introduced her role succinctly. Moving on to the prepared speech section, our Toastmaster of the day again had like very handy introduction for all the prepared speakers and the evaluators also. She also introduced the speaker as name, topic, name. For instance, Rupa and test title Rupa, and this is the etiquette in a Toastmasters meeting to introduce the prepared speech section. So if you are a Toastmaster from some other club and you see this not being done in your club, it's a good time to introduce it. And one feedback I have for the evaluators in the prepared speech section is, even if your bandwidth doesn't allow you, I would say that try and keep your video on during your prepared speaker speech, because this will give them the motivation that someone is listening to them and taking notes. And I've seen that it brings a lot of confidence to my speakers when I keep my video on and nod and like push them forward. So if you're taking up the role of the evaluator in the future, know that your role begins in the prepared speech section itself. It doesn't begin in the general evaluator section. Moving on to the table topics master, he introduced the role of the table topics master, the importance of the table topics section. Again, very nitpicky thing, but you can try relating this to the theme of the meeting. But he made sure that all of the guests were called upon for table topics, and all the non-role takers got a chance to use the stage. And the topics themselves were theme related, so this kept the whole continuity of the meeting flowing, and there wasn't a jarring break in the table topic section because all of the topics were related to the theme, so it was one whole continuous flow. And moving on to the evaluators themselves, I'm quickly going to give one thing that you did really well and one thing that you can improve upon. For Toastmaster Priyanka, you paid a lot of attention to the speaker's speech. This came up in the myriad points that you had to present. The feedback for you is, even if you have a lot of points, cut it down to maximum 5. Say 3 good, 2 improvements, or 2 improvements, 3 good, so that the speaker has the bandwidth to digest the information that you're giving them. Just like how too many cooks spoil a broth, too many points dilute your evaluation. So keep it to maximum 5. Toastmaster Shilpa, you quoted the speaker. This shows that you were listening. For you, the feedback would be always summarize. Even if you feel like you don't have time, always summarize, because it ensures that the speaker takes away what you're saying and remembers it for a longer time. And Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi, you are very positive in your evaluation. You are like, you did really well. This went really well, and I was really impressed. I can learn from this, etc., etc. The feedback for you would be introduce breaks in your evaluation. Now, breaks can be pauses. They can be, say, voice modulation or something like that. Or in case of an evaluation, it can be numbers with hand gestures, like the first thing that you did well, the second thing that you did well, finally. When you bring in these breaks, people know that you're speaking about a different point and not the previous point itself. And in case of an evaluation, it becomes difficult to make that distinction. So introduce breaks in your evaluation. That is it for my general evaluators report. I am very happy to have gotten the opportunity to take up the role of general evaluator for today's meeting, and I look forward to the rest of the meeting. Back to the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Joan, whose name I remember now.
Thank you, General Evaluator Toastmaster Rupa. You remember my name. I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much. Wow, like the last 10-15 minutes evaluation, so much to learn. And I'm sure every person in the meeting right now is either making notes or thinking about, I didn't think that was a great evaluation, or that was a great point. General Evaluator, that was one of the best general evaluations I have ever personally seen in Toastmasters meeting. Kudos to you, hats off to you for that. Now, I know everybody wants to go back to their dinner and everybody wants to go back to their cozy beds, but there is one last person I have to talk about. Without talking about this character, if I end today's meeting, then that is not fair. And we have already spoken a lot about this character, and he's none other than our very own Krishna. There is no one on this planet who can say that I can't learn anything from Krishna. You may worship him as a god, you may believe in him, you may not like him. That's all fair, up to you. But there is something to learn from him. Every single person can learn something from him. And we already have spoken so much about Krishna in this meeting. But what I want to take your focus as a leader is not about the great qualities, abilities, and powers that Krishna had. He is a great negotiator, great speaker, diplomat. True, everyone knows that. There are some qualities about Krishna that not many people focus on, like the quality of flexibility. His quality of flexibility is something as leaders, I think we all need to work upon. Like you decide something and then things go south. Now what? You need to be flexible enough to say, fine, the decision, I decided something is not going to work. Let me go for plan B or plan C. For example, he shifted his capital from Mathura to Dwarka. Right? People said, oh my God, you're such a weak person. You gave up so easily. So, Mathura is your capital. How could you give up? But he said, no, that makes sense. He was a smart person. He was a flexible leader. So he said, in order to win the bigger battle, let me lose the smaller ones. And so he easily shifted from Mathura to Dwarka. he is a well-informed decision maker. Now, for people who know the Bhima Jarasandh battle, and I'm sure many of you know who love Hindu mythology and who worship Krishna, you know about this battle. Beauty of Krishna, his strategies is what, he's well informed. He knows the background of Jarasandha. He knows how you can actually win this war. Bhima was just going on killing and killing and killing Jarasandha, but Jarasandha would never die. And he would never die unless you have the information on actually how to kill that character. And Krishna had all the information. So he was always a well-informed decision maker. He was a motivational leader. I think this is something self-explanatory. If not, I would highly encourage you to go and Google and read Krishna's stories. You will know why he's a motivational leader. But you know what? One of the best leadership qualities of Krishna that I like personally is the quality that he has, that he's ready to take a backseat. The Yuddha, the battle that happened in Mahabharata, seriously, Krishna, with a snap of his finger, he could have ended that battle. But he chose to take a backseat and guide Arjuna instead for the war. He chose to become a chariot rider, right? He was powerful enough. He could have easily ended it. But for the bigger picture, he chose to take a backseat. And as leaders, I think this is something that we forget a lot of times. I'm the president, I'm the VP education, or I'm the so-and-so title of my organization, or I'm the head of my family, whatever, wherever you are, whatever title you pose. We always forget that as leaders, it's not our job to shine, but it's our job to make the organization, the family, the community to shine. And many a times we have to take a backseat for that and let others take the limelight. So this is one good lesson that I learned from Krishna. Let others take the limelight, be flexible. That's all. Those are the 4 stories. From Zeus, learn about communication, the power of keeping communication with you. Apollo and Pythian's story. Remember, when you're taking a decision, think about the forest, not just about the leaves. From Hua Mulan, if one thing you can learn, that is, don't reject the crazy ideas. Many a times these crazy ideas will help you from the fix. And from Krishna, remember, ready to take a backseat and be flexible. I'm ending here. What is my vision today? Like, what did I think when I said I want to take this as the theme for the day? The vision is in that image, curiosity. I just want to invoke the curiosity in every person present here. If you already are someone who likes mythology and reads about mythology, great. That's fantastic. But if you don't, then I want to invoke your curiosity so that you can go back and start reading about mythology. Mythology is not just stories. It's not just fantasy. There are a lot of lessons on human relationships, good, evil, leadership, and kindness that you can learn from mythology. So one last recommendation I have is this book. This is a book called Mythos by Stephen Fry. It is a book which is written in a very lucid and simple language, which compiles all the stories, all the famous stories of Greek mythology. Very simple language. So if you get a chance, grab Mythos by Stephen Fry and start your journey through mythology. Thank you. You were a wonderful audience. And now I hand over the stage back to the presiding officer for the day. Thank you. Over to you.
Wow, 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 wow. What a meeting it was. An energetic Toastmaster of the day and pertinent general evaluator, fantastic speeches, pertinent evaluations, and 2 good role takers, auxiliary role takers. It was the fabulous meeting in recent days I have seen. Thank you so much for all the participants, role takers. Thank you for your participation, for making this meeting end in a greater note. Thank you so much. So moving ahead with the theme, what I have learned today is leadership through mythology, and I learned different leaders, their different ideas. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, for introducing that. And also would like to thank our general evaluator, Toastmaster Rupa, for that fabulous evaluation. Kudos to you. I mean, I learned a lot from this general evaluation, those in detail evaluation. Thank you so much. Gabbys Toastmasters Club is elated to have you as general evaluator. Thank you. So now it's time for guests to talk. It's time for guests to share their experience. How did they experience this meeting? So we have many guests today, and I would like to ask their feedback. Okay, I think, okay, Srijita, I know you have already spoken, but would like to again ask you, how did you feel after the meeting? I spoke with you before the meeting. Just wanted to know your feedback after the meeting.
Yeah, I had a great time. These were 2 hours, but they were so much more than 2 hours. From the stories I heard in the speeches, to the stories Joanne told, to the stories I heard in the table topic session, the topics, the role takers, the evaluation session, like that power-packed feedback after feedback after feedback. Wow, I am spellbound. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Toastmaster Srijita. Please keep coming to our meetings. We would be glad to have you in our meetings. Thank you so much for that feedback. Now, I think we have. Okay, I already spoke with Toastmaster. I mean, we already had a detailed evaluation of Toastmaster. Yeah. Yes, Saurabh?
Yeah, I wanted to share something. I know you're calling in the guest, but I just wanted to point out something about the meeting. So, we always talk about, I always believe that the meetings is what is the core of Toastmasters. Everything else that we do in Toastmasters is just a jazz, whatever else we do, the contests and this and that, this is important, right? And today the quality of the meeting was so top notch because of two very key people, right? The TMOD and the general evaluator, and obviously the speakers, evaluators, the other role takers, everyone was fabulous. But this was very, very important, the two major role takers. And something I wanted to share about both of them. Joanne Joseph is the district champion, District 98 Table Topics Contest. And Rupa, who's our general evaluator today, she is the district first runner-up in evaluation speech contest in District 92. So, this is what quality is all about. When you get such people into the meetings, then this is the kind of results that we get. And thank you so much, for taking the standards higher. We always believe in the Gabbys about excellence. But if there's something better than excellence, it's what you showed us today. Thank you. I'll always be indebted to both of you for this wonderful meeting. Thank you. Over to you, Karthik.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Saurabh, for sharing your thoughts about meeting. Thank you so much. So I think we do have any guests who want to volunteer yourself and just share your few words about our meeting, maybe some suggestions, or if you have felt good about what good you have felt about the meeting. I see Toastmaster Meeta Yamsha, who is our new member. So Toastmaster Meeta, I would like to ask you to share your feedback as a Gabbys member today. You there?
Yeah, hello everyone. Happy evening.
Hello, happy evening, Meeta. So
yeah, I'm audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, the thing, today's first meeting I attended, it was like amazing. And like really, it was like, I can't say that. I can't express, there's no words to express. It's really like TMOD has given a lot of things, mythology, and a lot of things to learn, as well as G. Each one was different, like all the roles were very topmost. So a lot of things to learn for me also from here.
Thank you, Toastmaster Meeta.
Thank you.
Thank you. So do we have any one last guest to share the feedback who want to volunteer them? Who want to volunteer? Okay, fine. So I think it's now time to announce the results. So coming to the best auxiliary role taker, we had grammarian, we had listener, we had accounter, me, and we had timer. So whom do you think is the best auxiliary role taker? Any guesses? So these days I'm not seeing any guesses. I'm not sure.
Nagesh.
Okay, thank you for at least speaking details. Thank you. It makes me feel good.
Grammarian.
Yes, it is Toastmaster Rohita Balagopal, who has won the best auxiliary role taker as a grammarian. And you truly stand up to that grammarian, the best grammarian of Gabbys. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have the best evaluator. So the best evaluator for today is Toastmaster Shilpa Reddy. Give a big round of applause to her. And as the distinguished Toastmaster spoke about how today's meeting was fabulous, energetic, with two great role takers. That is, we had our Toastmaster of the day, we had our general evaluator, and also I would like to thank our table topic master, Jitendra Rulania, because he took this role for the first time and he did an excellent job. Thank you, Toastmaster Jitendra, for that lovely, wonderful table topics you brought in us today. And the best role taker for today is Toastmaster Rupa, the general evaluator for our meeting. Give a big round of applause to her. And this general evaluation will remain in mind for a longer time to me, and I think many of them. Thank you, Toastmaster Rupa, for accepting the role of a general evaluator and coming up today and giving us that learning with your evaluation. Thank you so much. Now, the best speaker. This one I want at least to guess.
Sanjana.
Karthik.
Karthik.
Okay, I was not a prepared speaker today, but the best speaker is Toastmaster Sanjana Garai. Give a big round of applause to her. I always get amazed by the way she uses her body language and vocal variety. Awesome, awesome Toastmaster Sanjana for winning the best prepared speaker. Thank you. So it was a great session, great learning, but this is not the end. We are again meeting on this Thursday and again on Saturday. So we actually have 3 meetings a week: Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And the next meeting we are having is on Thursday, that is at 7 p.m. Wherein we have, the next meeting we have is on Saturday, that is on 10 a.m. That is the Gabbys Toastmasters Club. So would love to see you all there with another great speakers, with great evaluators. And this meeting on Saturday, we have hybrid meeting, wherein the location is the Kormangala Springboard, which is near to Forum Mall in the Bangalore. Yes, so we have again great speakers, evaluators, and also general evaluation and a great learning. So would love to see you on Saturday, 10 a.m. Thank you so much for making your presence in today's meeting. Thank you all. We'll end the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye.